Hello and welcome, everybody. Hey to everybody in the chat. Big thank you to the mods helping out today. And hello to all the channel members as well. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. Well, you'll catch me in the mornings talking about the Scientology news that has the internet buzzing, as well as touching on my 35 years in this cult, leaving with 3 generations of my family. Then I get to do one of my favorite things here and there, which is to do collaborations and interviews with other people in this crazy community of ex-Scientologists. And today, I'm going to get to interview and chat with one of my favorites. I've been watching her videos since I started on YouTube, actually before. And this is our first time doing a live stream together. So everybody, welcome the one, the only, Relatable Reese.
Aw, that's so nice. That's a great entrance. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. We talked about this for quite some time. And as we were chatting a little right before we went on, and I was telling Reese what a fangirl I am and how I've gone through this emotional roller coaster watching her, where I started out strong. I'm like, yeah. Then at some point I was like, no. Then I was like, yes. And then I was like, no. Then I was like, yes. And how I realized.
Not feeling it.
Yeah, it was. But the big thing with that is I realized it's because that's the story. I mean, it's your real life. When we get on, we talk about things that are our actual life. And it's just interesting because I've watched you more from a perspective as a viewer, I think, than someone else in this community, because I started watching you before I came on YouTube.
You did? Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And it's just been neat to see you grow. You've not been out of Scientology for that long. What's it been, like a little over a year officially?
A little over a year. Yeah. Not that long, Nat. It's kind of crazy.
What do you think you would be doing today if you were still in Scientology?
Well, that's an excellent question, isn't it? That's a good first question. I'm sure I would be around OT12 at this point. I realize it hasn't been released, but kind of a big deal in Scientology. Mm-hmm. No, I probably would be continuing to do, your usual ethics cycle, repairs, nothing real on the bridge, just a lot of going back and redoing things. I'd probably still be on the survival rundown. I completed that, but then I was told I didn't, and I needed 30 more hours, and then it turned into 80 more hours. So it'd probably be somewhere hovering around the bottom of the bridge, I would say. Mm-hmm.
When you were in Scientology, were you, because you were a public person mostly, right? But you were on staff when you were younger.
Yes, I was on staff when I was younger, and I was in the cadet org when I was 7.
Okay.
So a little bit of both. I like to mix things up.
Yeah, but as an adult, you were a public in Scientology, not on staff at that point.
That's right. Yeah. Actual adult, 18 and up. I was a public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So gosh, that kind of reminds me, like, I've spoken to multiple people at different stages of Scientology. People who are just starting, people who are under the radar, people who just left, people who've left. And I always like to ask them, and I want to ask you too, and you may or you may not know the answer to this question is, what are the things, or is there something that you always wanted to do when you were in Scientology, but you couldn't do it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't speak for everybody, but I speak for the people I was around in Kansas City, which is I was a true believer. I was born into this. So the things I was studying and told, I believed. So I really, truly wanted to get to the top of the bridge. I wanted to move things with my mind, just like everybody else. I was getting tired of having to use my hands. So I didn't have the money, though, was the thing. I had family with a lot of money. My father was pretty loaded, and he had been in Scientology since the early 70s. But, you can't get something for nothing, as you know, or you're a criminal status. Yeah. So I never made it to that point. I paid for some auditing packages, but I really, truly wanted to get to clear. And then I wanted to get to my OT levels. I knew that was never going to happen because I constantly was getting into trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in ethics cycles pretty often, and my chatterbox mouth would say things that Had to show me jokers and degraders.
I had more knowledge reports or things that shouldn't be written on me for being a joker and degrader than I think almost anything. And I couldn't
Same.
understand why, even though I grew up in Scientology, it's like I still was like, I think part of it because I'm from Hawaii, and it's very much humor is such a part of the culture there, and a lot of, poking at each other, but in fun and not in a mean way. And so
Yeah,
things that I would find funny in Scientology, not in a way that I felt like degraded Scientology, I would get completely in trouble for.
absolutely. Yeah, I've got more KRs than I and things that shouldn't be. And yeah, so I agree with you. And it's silly because that never stopped. I mean, now that I've been out, I feel like I'm much more vocal. I did kind of probably numb myself a little bit in Scientology, and I did learn to kind of curb that because I didn't want to get in trouble. I took it more seriously the older I got. When I was younger, I was a little more silly and willing to get in trouble, but then I kind of got more nervous about the ethics gradients, and things like that.
Yeah. When you left, you were prior to leaving, though I'm pretty sure I feel like everybody is familiar with your story, but just in case no one knows, you were already wanting to leave Scientology. You were what we refer to as an under the radar Scientologist.
Mhm.
And you were sharing information about flag and Scientology
Mhm.
with Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology. And he was sharing this on his channel. One day he mistakenly flashes up your number and your name,
Mhm.
and Scientology figured out pretty quickly, even though it was so fast, that that was you.
Within like 24 hours, yeah, they
Yeah.
knew.
And then the whole mass disconnection started, as it does. And how long after that before, because I know you were on YouTube, what I'm curious about is to leave Scientology and also it's practically do it on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like it was such a public thing. Because when you then when they discovered it was you, the disconnection happened, you're on YouTube doing videos with Aaron, and then you start your own channel,
Mhm.
and you've been on YouTube for about as long as you've officially been out of Scientology. And you
True.
you don't often see that. Most people who leave, it's like, that's it. They're done for a while. Would
Yes.
you say, did you find it more healing to be able to kind of go the route that you did and on YouTube? I guess you never know because you didn't go the other way. But in watching you, like I've watched you really come into your own in ways. And I
Thank
think a
you.
lot of that was getting away from another cult because I mean, when you look at that, this is from the outside looking in, is you're in Scientology, you're married to Fred, and he was involved in what turned out to be a cult, but then he had nothing to do with it and he treated you like a queen.
You did.
And then immediately there's Jeff, who the vast
Actually, truly
majority,
immediately.
yeah, the vast majority of us had no idea that, what was really going on behind the scenes. And in pure honesty, I think that was part of it for me because there were things that seemed I would watch and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Do you remember in Scientology how we were trained to evaluate data? And it's just
Sure.
hard to get out of that mindset sometimes.
Absolutely
Like,
it
wait a
is.
minute, that was dropped out time. Wait a minute, that was, you know,
Yeah.
but in looking back now with all of those things kind of filled in, it makes so much more sense what was going on. Did you ever, I mean, I
Thank you for
just,
saying that. It's validating. Thank you for saying that.
yeah, it fills in the blanks. What was that like for you? Like going through, I mean, the obvious is that it was really hard and difficult, but I mean, you not just had to still then you were there and Jeff was there, but it seemed like you worked hard to keep the status quo. Like there would
Yeah.
be some videos where it just was heart wrenching. I wanted to just go pick you up. I'm like, that's it. I am driving to Kansas City.
See, I didn't realize how obvious it was. Like, even you saying that right now, I've had so many people reach out privately and go, I never liked him. Or when you would have him on your stream, he made me uncomfortable. He was very controlling with you. Or some streams, I guess I did. I didn't realize I was doing it, but I would say, like, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. Or I'd say something like, guys, one day I want to share something with you, but I can't. Like things like that. I don't know if that's what you're referring
Yeah.
to, but yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're
Yeah.
saying fast forward. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like all
Now it
those
makes sense
connecting
because
the dots.
what I was struggling so much with was like, well, you'd have a video where it would be, kind of like more of the truth of what was going on. And Jeff said these really horrific things. But then the next day you would be at brunch all together. And
Yeah.
as a viewer, I would look at that and go, what is happening?
Yeah, or I would do a video the next day, like, really admiring Jeff and, like, he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
I think yeah, that actually see, I'm hearing it from a viewer's perspective. I was just living it in my own head. It is different, and now that you even point that out, I didn't think about it that way. It was, um I don't know what to say, Nat, other than I would cry a lot and I would think I want to scream this. I want to shout what's actually happening.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm going to go to brunch with this guy and stream with him and take pictures. And I think a lot of that had to do with, and I don't want to sound like I was bullied, but I was threatened pretty regularly with him.
Yeah.
Just threatened in a lot of ways. Like, if you ever talk about this, like, it was very. So I would it was almost like Scientology. I would follow the rules, but then every once in a while, I feel like I would just go, you know what? F this. I'm going to say what I want to say. And then he would get terrifying and threaten me and bully me. And I was like, so here's me and Jeff, and I'm super happy. And like, it was almost like Scientology of like, I'd get a little fiery spark and then they would put that out and go, yeah, you think you're going to get wild? No. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was
I don't
almost
know
like
how
you
else
were
to put it.
like a prisoner, where it was almost like blink
A little bit.
twice if you need us to come get
A
you.
little bit, which I feel bad saying that, maybe it wasn't that bad, but I also didn't feel like I could leave. I can't tell you how many times I threatened to leave and he would take my car keys.
Mm-hmm.
He would take my phone.
Yeah.
And, all the while, I don't want to get, sorry to cry on your show.
Hey,
I
do it all the time. Go ahead.
yeah, I know I do it on mine all the time too. All the while though, I also had a child watching that.
Yeah.
My kid was never not a witness to that stuff. And that made it really, I kept kind of going back and forth of balancing, like, okay, I don't have anywhere to go. I have no money right now to leave here. And we live in a nice place. I mean, I would really truly balance it out and go, but we live in a nice home. He pays all the bills. I'm pretty safe, as long as I keep my mouth shut and live the way he wants me to live. And it just went back and forth like that for years for me.
Yeah.
And he would say, if you talk about this, that's my hard no. Like, you can do whatever you want, but you can't talk about this.
And what was this specifically?
Was the cult that he was in,
Yeah.
the Royal Order of Jesters. And I found out a lot of things. He left his computer open and I found out a lot, and he could have left it open or not left it open. I would have found out. I mean, I don't know about you, but being a Scientologist, we tend to dig.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would have found it out anyway. I already knew it was going on in my head. I just couldn't prove it. And I found out some really dirty, under the table things that he and a group of people were a part of. And once I found that out, my marriage was over, but it went on for years. But I struggled. I struggled with, how do I talk about this without talking about it? And then I just realized I can't say anything. I was truly threatened by more than Jeff, a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And there was no way around it other than me coming on here and going, I wish I could tell you guys, but I can't say what it is. I would say things like that.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I would
definitely
get punished. And he would use that word. He would go, now you're going to be punished for what you've done. And so it was a real struggle because I couldn't just like pack up and leave. I had a kid in school and, he took care, he paid for everything. And when he was angry and mad at me, if I brought it up, I said this on my stream the other day, I would go to pay for things and he would shut the cards off, and I'd come home and he'd go, well, maybe you won't open your mouth again. Maybe you'll learn. You have to be punished when you don't learn. I mean, he would use words like obey, you will obey me.
Yeah. Being that you went through, Scientology, and then you had that time with Fred where, like you say, he treated you great and there was love there and he helped you in many ways. And then, you go to Jeff and it's this horrible situation and you're living with that. And then, now you're in a relationship with Tommy. Is there any part of you that it just concerned to go, well, like, wait a minute, do I, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like going from, just like this controlling situation to a controlling situation to a controlling situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Tommy's controlling. I'm just saying by nature of being in any relationship, there are now these added demands, another point of view,
Yeah, totally. It's not just
somebody who
you.
might, yeah, it's not just you
Yeah.
making those decisions truly just for yourself. I liken it to my 35 years in Scientology and raising my children, and then with Tony's kids as well. I
Mhm.
had like 30 years of parenting in there, and it's taken, I mean, really, we haven't had kids. It's been like for maybe like 2 years, just here and there. And just realizing like, wow, now I look at things, what would I like? And that I
Mhm.
find sometimes to be very difficult. So much of it was, the kids, like, and
Yes.
you've always had your son. But in then going and starting a relationship with Tommy, have you had any concerns that way about like, should I be trying
Focus on
to
me or
focus on me and be on my
yeah.
own?
That is such a good question because I put a lot of thought into that. I remember when my husband passed away, Fred, and I remember when they took his body and hospice left and everybody was gone. And all of a sudden I was alone and I hadn't been for so long. And I remember thinking kind of what you're going, that thought of like, it's just me now. I haven't thought about just me for a while,
Yeah.
like kind of like that. The kids are gone or whatever it is. The only difference here is I will say, Tommy to me, so we started out, it's not like we've known each other for years. We just really clicked and we became super close friends. As a matter of fact, I confided in him about the Jesters. And that was long way back when. And I told him about it. And I was talking to him on StreamYard, like we're doing now, off air, of course.
Yeah.
And I said, there's something, and I was just crying, and it was just, I had to let it out. And he said, you can tell me. And I said, I don't even know you that well. And he said, I was a convict. We take things pretty seriously on being narcs, like telling on, if you ask someone to keep something, you keep it.
Mhm.
And I said, plus I just trust you. There was something about him. And so we started out as really close friends, and the relationship is new. But I will say this, and he said this on our stream the other day, and this is what he says to me in life, is he says, I really just want to be with you. I don't care if that means like you need time, space, if you want to just be friends. But he's like, I want to see you succeed. Like he really is he's everything Jeff is not. He's so the opposite. Even Fred, who everything about him is just the best. It's even different here as far as he just gives me he lets me be me, Natalie. Like, I don't know how else to put it other than it's just very like freeing for him to go, whatever you want to do. I'm so not used to that. I'm used to a guy that's going, you do this or
Mhm.
you're going to get it, and it's like, he's so just the other day. I mean, he was just like, I want her to do what's comfortable for even this Jester
Mhm.
stuff. He said, he goes, I could take this to my channel. He said, but I don't want to because I want her to do the healing in the time she needs to do it. It's not a views thing. It's not a, let's make money on this. He's like, I really want her to share this, what's comfortable for her. And I just thought, man, I've not really experienced too many people in my life that talk like that. And that being in Scientology, people are very forceful and you need to do this and you need to do that. It's not you do what's best for you. And I love you and I'll be behind you, supporting you the whole way.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know if I answered you or not, other than he's just there as my support. I don't even know that I label it as anything. And he says that too. He's like, I don't care what the future holds. I just want it to be you in my life.
Yeah. That's
And to
really
me, that gives me so much space to kind of like breathe and do what I want. So I kind of can focus on me because he lets me do that. It's not this pressure of like, so we're together and here's the boundaries and here, none of that. It's like, I just want to be around you. It makes me happy to be around you. And that's different for me.
Yeah, that's sweet. What was it like when Tommy arrived there to help you pack and help you get out of there? And because again, from the outside watching, it was, oh, we all went to brunch on Mother's Day. But then I think it was like on that Monday, you did a video and then shared what happened Saturday night, which is when Jeff made that horrific comment to Huxley about pack your stuff and get out of here.
Yes.
Then went to the airport to go pick up Tommy with you, and then you guys go to brunch. Like, what was that like behind the scenes?
Well, I would say that, I'm looking at it through your eyes, which is you're articulating it very well. And I didn't look at it that way because I was in it. But it's funny because I was quite good at, like, for instance, no one knows this, but I went to Jeff. When did we get divorced? The divorce happened in like 5 weeks. It was so
Yeah, like
fast.
in May, I think.
Yeah. So I take Jeff to lunch. We go to lunch right before I file. Okay. I've said this before. I didn't have the money. I would have gotten divorced years ago. I didn't have the money. I started a YouTube channel. People super chat me, and I saved every penny of that to go get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff doesn't know I'm doing all of that because we don't have joint bank accounts. He wanted joint bank accounts. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I go to lunch with him one day and I said, you are in tremendous amounts of credit card debt. And he is. And I have none. And I just said, I really think we should divorce, but stay together, but get divorced, because I think it's just smart. I said, if you're almost 30 years older than me and you're very unhealthy. And I said, if you died tomorrow, all of that would be on me and Huxley. I would be kind of screwed financially. And that was the truth. And he said, yeah, go on. And I said, I think we should get divorced, but not tell anybody. I'll keep your last name. And that was my way of safely. I didn't know how else to say I hate you and I want to get away from you and I feel unsafe with you. So I put it that way. Mm-hmm. And somehow he was like, okay, yeah. He was like, I think that's a good idea. And then like seconds later, he goes, actually, this is a great idea. He goes, then I can go back to being a jester without you all over me about it. Like, just really, like, all of a sudden it was about him. And I said, yeah, see? Mm-hmm. I was like, let's do it. That's a great idea. So it's similar to the brunch thing. I think I'm good at morphing. I don't want to say I'm like a liar, but I'm good at keeping a situation calm.
Yeah.
To keep the even keel, keep the peace. I had Huxley around. I did not want this man exploding. And so I just did whatever I had to do to go, hey, Tom. I mean, I even told Jeff Tommy was coming because we wanted to stream together in person and kind of see how we do in person. And if that would be okay with him. And I made it sound like it would just be for a few days. So this whole thing I was
wondering, how did you pull that off to get
nobody
Tommy?
Even knows that. I haven't shared that. Yeah. This whole time I was like, would it be okay? And he even said, he goes, we're going to have another guy in our basement. And I said, well, not another guy, but like, other than him in our house. And I said, yeah, but just for a few days. And he was like, yeah, okay. He said, well, since we're going to brunch on Mother's Day, I'll make the reservation for add him. Right. And so it was just very, yeah, sure. I just tried to keep things. Yeah. I'm sneaky, Brian Lucas. I tried to keep things as cool as I could to benefit me.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to get out of there. I knew I had the money. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, please, please, please. I really, true. I was like, please just keep this, like, let me keep myself safe from this man. Cause I know his potential and I've seen it and it's ugly. And so I thought I've got to come up with a way that's going to save me and Huxley. If I had said like, hey, this guy's coming to keep us safe because you're a psycho and I'm going to pack my stuff, it would have never worked.
Yeah. So Tommy didn't know Tommy was coming to help you pack.
He had no idea. So Tommy comes to help me pack and he goes, when is he going home? And I was like, I don't know, just a few days. He booked a one-way ticket. That guy didn't even. So as the week goes on and things go on, I just said, we're going to keep streaming a little more, we're going to keep, and I just kept stringing Jeff along and he bought it. And eventually after a couple of weeks, he went to one of his jester trips, his gross. And I just said, this isn't going to work out. I am going to move out, but I didn't tell him where. And I just said, while Tommy's here, he decided to extend his trip because he's another guy and he can kind of help me pack. And he was like, okay. He said, I saw that coming. He was like, I can see the way you are, that you're just a Scientologist anyway. And, so it just kind of went into that. And then it was a beautiful thing. We got out of there safely because of the story I kept feeding him, which is, I'm not proud of that, but I am proud of that because if I had given the truth, I don't know that I would have made it here.
Yeah. I don't doubt that. And doing what you need to do. I shared part of a video this morning on my recap about how when the video was basically talking, the entire video got more into how sometimes we need to have that personality or be a certain way with certain people when you're in an abusive situation.
Yes.
Just like within Scientology, we knew the answer when we were asked, did we have any wins on what we did? You had to say yes, whether you had them or
Yes.
not.
Let me
You get
write a
really
success story.
exactly
Yeah.
like you get
Yeah.
so good at writing them and just taking and I think too we want to believe that. I wanted to believe it. What I was writing, I tried to get as much as I could out of each thing that I did in Scientology. It just wasn't what they said, like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the end phenomena or this is the thing you should achieve. And was so conflicting with me because I'd be like, well, if I have the ability to communicate about anything with anyone, then why can I not speak to people who left Scientology? And I think it's
Exactly.
similar. I feel, my 2 cents in watching this, I just thought to myself, I bet her time in Scientology and doing what we had to do to survive, because we learn at a very young age as children what's expected of us in Scientology, that if you do that, you can get by. And that maybe that's kind of what was happening. And that sounds like what you're describing is you just had to go to the default personality that you
Mhm.
knew would keep you and your son safe.
Correct. That's such a good way of putting it, Natalie. That it's just very validating as well. Um, I'm probably the newest one out of Scientology of all of us on SPTV, I think. Maybe not, but I think so.
Yeah, I think so because you were out for like a year, and like Liz Ferris was out for like 2.5, maybe 3 years,
Okay.
and then
So
there's the
maybe
jumps. But I
it's
think you were
obviously not a
yeah,
contest, but what I'm trying to say is I'm the newest. What I'm trying to say is I sometimes may not come across this well saying this. I may lose some subscribers, but I sometimes think I learned some things in Scientology. There are some things, reasons I am the way I am, and while I don't ever want to come off as a liar, I feel like it taught me, like for instance, TRs.
yeah,
Jeff would always come at me screaming. Like I'm talking, I would always say this, like he would spit on my glasses. I would have to take them off because he'd get real close to me and start screaming. And
yeah,
he'd get so mad at me, he'd get more and more loud because I would just
yeah,
and he would go, turn off your bull bait. You're bull baiting me. You're using your Scientology. It's like a switch. And he would flip out. And I was like, maybe I am doing that. Maybe I really am doing that. But I feel like I'm trained to just be here comfortably while you just go off, you know,
yeah,
on me. And it's not it's not in me to fight back like that. I'm not a screamer. Now, a lot of Scientologists are. I've been around a lot of, screaming, throwing things, but it's never been my nature to do that. I've always kind of just been, and I wonder if things like that taught me and trained me enough with all those hours of just kind of being able to be a quiet, just try
mm,
to solve things quietly, not react. I don't know. Maybe I was born that way, but I feel like a lot of us have that
yeah.
similar characteristic.
I think it's very
It's kind of
much part
trained in us.
yeah, it's part of the indoctrination. From children, we were indoctrinated to not respond to things that were uncomfortable. So our
Mhm.
tolerance of discomfort, physical,
Yes.
mental, spiritual, becomes very high. And I've tried to look at those things. It's gotten in the way sometimes of feeling my emotions, but I realize that I can shut that off and feel my emotions when I need to do that. And the only
Yeah.
time I ever needed to do that was mostly in Scientology, or I'll be honest, sometimes it comes in handy too, even like being in doing anything in the public, because there's always going to be a certain amount of haters. And it's I don't know. I guess it sometimes surprises me how much that doesn't bother me. And I would ask myself, is it because I'm keeping my TRs in? Like, what's the deal? And I'm like, no, some of like the trolls and stuff, I'm like, it doesn't bother me because it's so not real. It's just like, it's like you can call me names or say whatever. Now, I mean, this doesn't happen often, but those kind of things don't bother me. What somebody else thinks, or if they've made a decision about who I am or what I am, and it's not in alignment with how I feel I present, how I choose to show up, I'm so okay with that. And it doesn't bother me. I don't get upset about it. And I think that it's mostly because I've endured such a huge amount of abuse emotionally, spiritually, that that's nothing. People say, and I'm 53 years old. I have just lived for a while long enough. And I think as women, as we get older, we come more into our own skin and become more
Mhm.
comfortable with who we are and what we want and what we want to do. And we have even less care for what anybody really thinks about it. It's amusing, whether good or bad. If somebody's like
Totally.
absolutely loves it or absolutely hates it, it's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm here creating what I'm creating and we're doing what we're doing. But I do think that is
Absolutely.
the case, right? Don't you feel like it kind of
I
makes
think
it
that's
tougher?
that I look forward to coming into my own. I'm turning 40 on Monday and I look forward to it, but I will say this too. People don't realize also, and I'm going to speak for me. I'm not going to speak for other people, but Scientology gave me horrifically almost zero self-esteem.
Mhm.
So, I've had some haters say things and I responded to one and I said, they called me like super fat or whatever. And I just said, do you have any, like, you're never going to affect me. No one hates me more than I do. Like, I don't, nobody's tearing me down physically more than me. I promise. I look in the mirror and think, ugly girl. So, you're not really accomplishing much by going there either, because Scientology taught me to kind of dislike and pick myself apart and, you know, look at the negatives. And I don't speak for others there, but I know that I wasn't boosted in Scientology. I wasn't given confidence and told, you know, you can do it. I was more told you're an ethics particle and get back in there and write up your overts and withholds because you've
Yeah.
got more writing to do.
Yeah, and
You know,
that you're
you
trash and that you're this and that you're that.
Yeah.
All is a method of control. I will tell you this, as you enter your 40s, that I feel like is the big and you know what, friends who are over 40 in the chat or catching this on the replay, you tell me what you think. But I feel like there is something that happens where you just start to realize like, whoa, especially as, you're still raising a child. You have your son and it's as they get older too, as kids get older and they become less dependent, we just realize that, hey, it's I'm okay with being, who I am. And you start, I
Yes.
think, I think falling in love with yourself is something that is vital and important. And it's something that we were taught not to do. And I don't even think that's
Yes.
limited to even in Scientology. I think Scientology takes it to a whole new level. But
Yes.
for me, a lot of it had to do with coming and realizing that my desires mattered, what I wanted mattered, what I
Yep.
thought mattered, and making my own choices in those decisions. I think the further you get into that away from Scientology and with that life experience, it's like something magical happens. And I remember thinking, no, I left Scientology when I was, oh my gosh, I was your age. I was just about 40 when I left. So part of it for me could be that the fact that I left a cult at that age. But I noticed as I got older, it just got better. And then once I got close to, like 50, it was really like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
It's probably a mix, Natalie, because I've heard a lot of people say, like, and I've just seen it in the chat, like, my 40s was my favorite decade. I think there's a lot to that, whether you were a Scientologist or not.
Yeah.
But I also think that probably partially had to do with you thinking for yourself for the first time. I find myself doing that. I'm like, wow, I can say what I want. Like, I don't have to answer. I'm not going to get written up. I'm not going to get pulled in and put on the cans. It's a very freeing feeling to know that, and I'm not going to have a family member go, looking down on me going, you shouldn't have. Now it's going to affect me and I'm going to get pulled in session on that. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that you're not going to have to pay for this anymore. Even with Jeff, I don't have to pay for this anymore. And that's why in the beginning, when we talked about Tommy, he's a very different animal here as far as he just popped his head in because he just said, he goes, you are absolutely very beautiful to me. And so it's like, he had to correct that because I'm sitting here going, so, I mean, he's different as far as here, do your thing. I'm just here to, embrace it, stand behind you, whatever capacity you need me. So it's very different. And I look forward to this, already being out for a little over a year is exciting, but I think there's going to be much more in store for me. I think I'm going to make new friends. I'm so glad you and I are doing this. Like, we've been talking about it for a long time. And so I think there's going to be, I feel scared. And I just remind myself, it may be a little scary, but this channel is everything to me. I've made so many friends and we have so much support and warmth, that I don't think I have to be afraid.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I think that even without it, I just think that just in hearing, you tell your story earlier, even just through the channel, there's always been a fighter there. There's always been somebody standing there just fighting. within you, but it was suppressed so heavily for so long. And then you go into, and then to just land in the lap of, another cult like that, it's just, you just can't make this up. I mean, this,
That I couldn't talk about. That was the
yeah,
worst part, is it was just driving me insane.
yeah, no, absolutely. I wish of course, all in hindsight, and there was so much going, we both had a lot of stuff going on, but that I'd have known because it would have filled in the blanks more. Because again, as a viewer, I was just like, what in the world is going on here?
Yeah, I
This
could
does
see
not
that
make
now.
sense. But
I
then,
could see that. I
yeah,
never thought about it through your perspective. I see that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, from
It
the
really is.
outside looking in that way, and then just cheering for you at the same time, and that's why, like I was saying, how, like, I had such conflicted feelings as a viewer. None of this is my business, but as a viewer, we get very attached. That I
Yes, we
realized
do.
I was cheering for you and wanted you to come into this, this newness of this world of this no Scientology, no, controlling husband. And I think that's probably where it sits with me, where I kind of like, not anything personal against Tommy, just it could have been almost any
Oh,
man. And I'd be
yeah,
like,
he could have been
no.
anyone. You would have been like my mother. No, nobody's good enough. No, no. No, I totally get your point of view on that. And nobody has to like Tommy. That's the thing, is I told you this before the stream started. Like, I always tell my mods, I love my mods, and I say, like, as long as it's not pure hatred, hate
Yeah,
speech
yeah.
in my streams, people can have a different opinion. Not everybody's going to like the guy, and I go over to his channel and not everybody likes me. And that's also part of being a YouTuber. I'm getting thicker skin there. It's like, you don't have to, that's the beauty of us not being in Scientology. There's no more group think. You don't
Mhm.
have to like him. And I don't get upset with you. We can still be friends.
Oh,
It's like, I don't want to sell Tommy on anybody.
yeah,
He speaks for himself, and I
absolutely.
I kind of like the different opinions there. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's never was okay in Scientology to voice your opinion. And now
Mhm.
it's like, please, I'm all ears. Give me your opinion, as long as it's not super hateful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing that we all have different opinions, and we should be able to say, I wasn't really sold on it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, I will say this, it's good that, like, I'm happy for you that you're happy, that is the biggest thing,
Thank you.
and I think that, it's again, not that it matters, this is me, the fan speaking. I'm sure the relationship will grow on me, I'm just so protective.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't, Nat, like, you and I are cool.
Totally.
I mean, I don't know. Friends aren't always friends with people's
Yeah,
boyfriends, girlfriends,
exactly,
spouses. I mean,
exactly.
I
Well,
don't
and
know.
I think in a way, Tommy has a little bit of an uphill battle in a way, because but I think the more that you discuss this and talk about it as you have been and filling in the blanks, that anyone that's watched that for a while then can go back and, oh, that makes sense. Because of
Yes.
course, living your life out loud on YouTube and, in giving that access, it's hard to pull that back sometimes. And
Mhm.
sometimes there are some people who feel very entitled to that, to want
Yeah.
to know certain things that really you might have a boundary of, hey, that's, and it's okay. As I've come to learn, it is okay to set boundaries even if the other person doesn't like it. It's okay to still have those boundaries.
I'm just learning that.
Yeah.
I am. And I'm learning that even as on my channel. I never used to before, but now I'm kind of like, look, this is kind of where I stand on this. And if, like, just I've even said I'm setting a boundary here, and I need you guys to understand that. And it feels good to say it. And it's not mean. I always used to think, like, I don't want to say no because,
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt their feeling. It's not mean. It's just, you're just having a voice. And I
Yeah.
think we all should.
Yeah. And I think the more we all learn that and the more we just try to support each other, in those choices. I will say this though, Tommy, you hurt Reese, you don't treat her right, we are coming for you.
Oh, he knows, because I'll be the first one. I will say, "Chat assemble," and it's weird, they just show up. Um, yeah, no, he knows. And what's cool about that too is a lot of people in the beginning, you're right, didn't see the whole side of things. I wasn't showing the whole side.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were like, "That guy's ruining a perfectly happy, good marriage." And he's gotten a lot of apology emails from people going, "I
Mhm.
resubbed to you because I thought you tore their marriage up." And little did I know it was over way before you showed up. And that guy was abusive. And whether Tommy was there or not, he was, I mean, it was so beneficial to have a friend like him.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, Natalie. The best thing about Tommy is he screams protection. He's very protective. And I love that because Jeff was the opposite. But I worried at the end, a lot of people emailed me and said, be careful, because when you get to the end and you start leaving, that's when people can kind of come unglued.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a 300-pound man. And I just didn't, I was not, that's why I shipped my kid off. I sent him to my parents before I left because I thought, I don't want something to happen. I don't want him to see something to happen to me. If it does, I don't want him to witness that. And I didn't want to have to get in the middle of something. And so it was more than people realized. Tommy was a huge savior to me because I believe something would have happened if he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have seen that and gone, oh, okay, I see the bigger picture now.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like these are just dirty, they're just deviant people and she's cheating. And it wasn't that at all. It was, he came to save me. It wasn't anything, you know, creepy or gross. It was just part of my plan. I was like, let's get this guy here so he can help me and get Huxley out of the picture so that he doesn't have to see anything if it does go down, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can totally see that. And I think through, you know, with time and all that, and it's like, he doesn't, you know, by that same token, Tommy doesn't owe anybody either. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been there, you know what you know, he knows what he knows. And that's pretty much, you know, that's pretty much it. It's this whole different dynamic because we're on YouTube and he had his channel and you have your channel and you've got a channel together and it seems like it's going really well. That's a lot of fun, right?
Plus he did 13 years in federal prison. It's almost similar to bull baiting.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is really not hurt by anybody. I mean, he's also he's a beautifully sensitive man. But what I'm saying is like that, you know, people who are going to go, you were like, when they said you were ruining a marriage, he was like, yeah, I mean, if they only knew, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. I'm here to help her. And it was sad that he had to take the brunt of that. But now I think people see it. I'm really glad we talked about this because it's just, do you ever do that? It's like, oh, wow. I love doing streams with people sometimes because I'm like, I didn't think about that. I didn't look at it from your eyes, from that perspective. And it's telling and makes a lot of sense why you said what you said. And I bet a lot of people, I get some private messages of people who say what you said. And they're like, in the beginning, I was like, yeah, I like her. No, I don't. Wait, I might. I'm going to resub. Like, and a lot of people have come and said that. Like, now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, so I apologize to everybody for not being able to share all of that. But I really felt like my safety was top priority. Yeah, and I don't think I would have been safe.
Yeah, I agree. And nobody knows, you know, when you're going through that situation, it's so easy to try to armchair quarterback things. And for people, myself included, to have an opinion. And I think when when you're watching people's lives this way, like on social media and with YouTube, it's just because something you didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And just because you saw something happen doesn't mean it happened over here. I mean, there's just so many variables in there. But at the end of the day, I remember, okay, so I'm going to try not to cry now.
It's okay, babe.
When I was like, you know, the last few months, just dealing with everything, you know, with Tony being sick. And I just needed a break at times because there was no break. And with, you know, work and being with him and taking care of him towards the end. And when I would just need like a brain scrub, I just need to go in the shower. The shower became like my cry time because I didn't want him to see me crying all the time. Because I didn't want that to be, you know, he was on limited time. And I didn't want that time filled with me just being upset all the time. So I just really we worked together to just find as much joy and stuff as we can. But when I would go and like take those showers after somebody got me a shower speaker, I would listen to your videos. I would watch your videos. That was like a break for me.
Oh my God.
But I got to be honest, in some ways it's because I felt like such a hot mess, but you seem like such a hot mess too. But But your hot mess in ways made me feel better about
Well,
my
of
hot.
course. Your life was a dumpster on fire, and it made me feel.
Yes, it did. I would even say, I'm like, Reese has no idea how much she's actually helping me, because this is just the most entertaining thing that I've seen on the internet. And then I was conflicted because I'm like, she is a real person, but I'm like, man, though, I would pay to watch this. This is just, but it gave me like that time and enough space to kind of take a step back and feel some
Breathe.
normalcy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so when you would talk about a lot of what was going on, and even at times where I was like, what is she doing? What is happening? What's the deal? And I wasn't so sure. And like now we filled in the blanks and we understand it. I really understood. I think I understood it more from the perspective of people as a viewer who watches and who subscribes to these
Yeah,
channels and goes through these things, these dumpster fires with us
absolutely.
and see it through. It just was it was
I
just so
love
helpful.
that.
It was.
I love that. If you're ever feel like you're struggling, or anybody, please reach out. I'd like to come up with some more mystery drama for you so that I can keep that going. You know, it is a going ongoing on my channel. So please, I don't like drama, but a good mystery drama is kind of fun. You know,
Yeah,
a good, you throw in a fun sex cult and we unravel that. It
yeah,
can be fun. Yeah, you've got to
exactly.
take it in stride. I do love that though, Natalie. That's amazing. Thank
Oh,
you
it
for
does.
sharing that.
In fact, it's like I would even talk to Tony about it. I was trying to okay, this is how like fangirl
Poor
I was.
Tony.
I was like, "Babe, I need you to watch it because I have nobody to talk to about it. I can't get in the chat." I mean, I could, but because I had an issue with some people pretending to be me in chats, I just don't go in chats anymore. And I'm like, "I can't talk to the chat." I'm like, "I got nobody to talk to about this." So I would fill him in some, it became like our little soap opera that,
Yes.
we would watch and touch on
So sad to hear. That's not the first time I've heard that. Husbands coming in and being like, "What's wrong with Reese today? What's going on over there today in Kansas City?" Yeah. No, I'm glad that Tony knew some of those details, honestly. I'm sure it
yeah,
kept him
oh, it
thinking as
totally
well.
did.
Maybe not laughing, but on thinking on his
Oh, no,
toes about it.
laughing for sure at times, but with you, I mean, there's a lot that was very humorous, and
Oh,
it just
yeah.
it this is definitely I hope that there is a plan at some time in the future to write a book because you're still living it, so it might have to be a two-parter or you just finish, it as life goes
Maybe a
on,
docuseries.
completely a docuseries.
Hello, Netflix.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
such a fascinating story to go from, Scientology and then Fred and then and now so let me ask you a little bit about this. With Fred and the older men, now I was married to a man 16 years older than me.
Rookie
And
numbers.
yeah, rookie
Those are
number.
rookie numbers. Go
Exactly.
on.
When I was 28, we got married and he was 16 years older and we were married for like I think 11 well we were legally married for 13 I think. Our divorce took like 3 years
Oh,
for some
wow.
crazy reason. It was the stupidest thing in the world. And now we're fine. If I see him in the grocery store, he would have lunch with me tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that.
We really ended up on a after those 3 years in a good point. And even, he had met Tony and we, would be at
I
family
love
things and they
that.
were really cool together.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I could relate in ways because sometimes when there's such an age difference, some of it's generational in the way that they kind of get stuck in their ways, especially, the boomer generation. But I'm real curious, what was that like? Because I know you've talked about Fred and then Jeff being so much older. What are your thoughts on why the grandpas?
That's the only bad thing about Tommy. He just turned 54 the other day. So right now we're 15 years apart, and that turned me on a little more. But in a few days, we're going to be back to 14 years apart. And it's
Yeah.
just not doing it for me. I like him extra crispy. Um, it's weird, right? Because I didn't talk about Fred a lot before my YouTube channel because people would give you the judgmental look. You know, kind of the look I think Tommy says he gets when he says I was a prisoner or I was, you know, I'm a felon. He gets the same judgmental look. And it's like, okay, you don't even know me. And it wasn't about money. And I think people jump to that. And I don't know if you've ever seen him joke. He calls me Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. Anna Nicole.
It's all in good fun. But I mean, it's weird. I think what it is for me, I'm attracted to men who, to me, it's like, it's like there's something about a guy being established, and like you said, when, like a lot of women said, when they hit their 40s they didn't care anymore. It was like, I'm kind of stepping into my own. I feel like men do that too, in a way where it's like they kind of own who they are, and they don't need what am I trying to think, what's another word for affinity? Like they're not looking for not love, but like acceptance. Yeah, they're not looking for acceptance. They're established in a lot of ways. I'm sure this has something to do with my father leaving when I was 16. I mean, maybe if we delved into that, I don't know. But there's something sexy to me about an older man that's just kind of got his stuff together and he doesn't care. And he's just, I also was very turned on by the fact that he was so old, and I thought, you've seen it all. You've been everywhere, and you have so much patience, and you listen to me, and you're full of wisdom. And, you know, I don't know, he was in the Navy, and like, there's just, when somebody is like a timeline of things they've accomplished, I really respect that and admire it. And so somebody my age, I'm like, ugh, no, like you, no, I don't know. It's weird to say that, but that's what it is for me, is I kind of look, it's probably fatherly in a creepy way that I haven't unfolded, but I kind of look up to him. It's a respect thing. I'm like, wow. And when they're attracted to me, it's even more like, wow, like, me? Really? Like, you're interested? Like, I felt that way about Fred. I thought, I'm shocked that you're interested in me. You've accomplished so much in your life, you know? I've done nothing. I was a Scientologist. I've got nothing. I didn't even go to school. That's how I felt, you know, like I've accomplished nothing.
I would argue that, because it's surviving things that, like, even now, to have your sense of humor and ability and willingness to be vulnerable and share these things, knowing that it opens you up. Anybody who gets here on YouTube, it just opens you up to all kinds of criticism and things. It's one thing to leave a cult, and you know, I talk to people who are newly leaving, and the struggles that they have and the need for security and privacy is so huge, because Scientology permeates every single part of your life, down to, you know, oh, there's a dentist in Scientology and that's not your dentist. I mean, you know how it is. It's like you have to have all
Everything.
those people. Yeah. And then when you don't, it's just like, oh, but that's just all I ever knew. It's how do I speak to people in the outside world, kind of a thing.
Absolutely. Everybody's a Scientologist. Once you're a seasoned Scientologist, you're right. I mean, everybody is. And I don't know, Nat. I think it's the sense of accomplishment for me, you know.
Yeah.
Tommy was a little young for me, but I was like, oh, you went to prison for 40 years? All right. That's something. That's hot.
How many years was it? Was it like 15 years?
13. He did 13 years. Yeah. And he was a bank robber, so he's good with money. And, you know, I just, you know, it's so funny because my dad, the whole time I was in my dad's life, he'd call me a bank. You know, you're a bank. It's a Scientology word, guys. For those of you that don't know, it's you're being your reactive mind. And I always think if I met my dad today, I could be like, Dad, he's also a bank robber. I finally met my match.
Yeah, that's right. And you've been getting younger. I mean, Fred was 90 something. Jeff was whatever
66 now. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is I figure I should stick around somebody in their 50s, because I don't want to lose someone again. As you know, it is so hard to walk that with them and watch somebody go.
The first week after Tony died, I was convinced that I needed to get rid of Odin, who I love dearly, because all I could think of is, I'm not going to watch this dog die. You know?
Oh my God. Yes.
The
Absolutely.
weird things that go through your head like that. And it's a huge thing. And that's the other thing I thought about for you, is like, it's, you know, if you go too older, then you get into those health issues, and there can be those issues, and losing somebody like that, it changes you forever.
But it's also, I don't know about you, and I haven't brought this up during this whole stream, because this is so fresh for you and I don't want to overstep, but I do have to say this, and you may or may not agree with me, and I've said this before. I mean, I was with him. I held his hand as he died. I watched him cross over. It was a gift. I would not change a thing. It was a beautiful thing to be there with the person I loved so much, and it was so hard, but I wouldn't change a thing. I'm glad I was there. And I honestly hope that's the case when I go. I mean,
Yeah.
it's however it happens, I hope that it's not something horrible. I'm not in the trunk of someone's car. I've been thinking about that lately. I hope it's not anything like that. I hope I'm holding hands with the person I love, in the
Exactly.
same trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Together. At least you get kidnapped together. That's a win.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, you want to do it together if you're going to do it, for
yeah.
sure.
No,
We like to do stuff together.
yeah. It's how you build the relationship. Getting kidnapped together.
Yeah. But it was a gift. And again, I don't want to overstep. I don't want to go into
No, that's
any
not
of your story,
overstepping
but
at
okay.
all. And I
It's
agree with you completely. And that is what I remind myself of. Because I was with my mom when she passed, and there was something so poetic about she was there when I took my first breath, and I was there when she took her
oh,
last breath. And so I
that's
understood
a
to a
gift.
degree, yeah, what that is and how much of a gift it felt like. So I knew going into this, even with Tony, that I wanted to be there, and that it's an honor to be there when somebody leaves. And yeah, I wouldn't have changed it. I mean, I told him, I said, because a few times, more than a few times, he felt he needed to apologize. Because it wasn't our plan. It's nobody's plan. There's one person is, you find your soulmate. Where's my tissue?
Yeah. You
And
got
then,
to have them handy,
yeah,
girl. You got to do it.
it's not the plan. But then that's what happened. So, okay, what do you do? And you want to be there. And it was so incredibly special. And I would do it when he would try to apologize. I would say there's nothing to apologize for. If the tables were
Never.
switched, you would never feel that way. If it were me, you would be doing exactly the same thing. And I
Yes.
told him a few times, I said, I would go through all of this again, if that's what it took. If I knew that I'm finally going to meet and fall in love with this man and have, it's nothing is perfect. It wasn't
Right.
like it was all unicorns and rainbows. Even with your
Totally.
soulmate, life happens. But to have that experience and be loved in that way, and to be able to love in that way, and then to lose that, it's not lost on me how fortunate I am to have had that for almost 11 years. Something that I'd only dreamed about,
Right.
that I actually was able to live that and experience that. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I
That's
would have done
amazing, Natalie. That's amazing. You got 11 years with him. That's like
it.
my dream. I
Yeah,
didn't get that with Fred, and I think that's
yeah,
beautiful. And like you just said, and I'm going to say it again. And if you could start back over again and know how it was going to end, you'd do it all. You'd walk that journey with him.
yeah, absolutely. Even knowing what was gonna happen.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll
because
be
it's
honest, I
such a
might have
gift.
hesitated, but then thought it through and
It's
gone,
a
"You know
gift you
what?"
got out of it with
Yeah,
Tony, and
exactly. And that
I
is the
mean,
thing that I remind myself of.
absolutely. And I don't know how you feel because coming out of Scientology, it's like, what do we believe now when people die? Because we
Yeah,
were told so much, but I don't know what happens. And I'm not going to say I do, but I don't know where you stand with Tony, but I know Fred is somehow in some capacity with me. I know he is. I
yeah,
feel him all the time. I feel sometimes I have close calls or moments and I'm like, I feel like that was Fred, like helping me out. And I will never I talk to him still. I mean, I just it's validating.
yeah,
And I don't feel like Tony's gone.
yeah, I know, I feel that way too, and I wasn't sure if it was just not being used to it, but it does, I think that it will always be, that way. He was very adamant about not being afraid to die. I mean, knowing that you're gonna die, facing your death, and knowing how you were gonna die, I just I mean, yeah, he had some good medication in the end, but still, that would have just freaked me out to
Yeah.
know what was going to happen. And they have so much these days. I mean, and I interrogated the poor palliative care doctor because I was just like, okay, you're saying it's like you can separate his mind from his body. How do you know? How do you know they don't feel pain? I mean, I was just like completely interrogating her, like, how do you know?
Absolutely.
What
As you
are
should.
yeah, what are the signs where, you give him more meds? Like, what are those? And I made sure that, he got the absolute legal limit because I promised him that, I'm told and I will make sure if I have to run over there and grab one of those syringes myself and go plunging it to make sure.
Yes,
Luckily, it didn't come to that.
that is good. But I mean, I also love what he said about death. That really made
Yeah.
me cry.
Yeah, he said he's
I
not
really
gonna
admired
die
that.
and that he's really excited to find out what happens next. And that
I
is
love that. I
yeah.
love that he said that. It actually really inspired me.
Mm,
Like, I feel like Tony was so strong about it. It made me go, you know, it's just he just walked right through it, and I just admire strength in general.
yeah,
But it was just such a neat thing to say. He
yeah,
just embraced it.
yeah, and he
And like
knew.
you, I just like what you just said. Like I feel like I'd be terrified. I'd be
Yeah,
sitting there going, "Don't, don't let him take me." I mean, I'd be freaking out. I love that he just embraced it. It was
yeah,
beautiful.
he said multiple times that he lived so much life, he traveled so much, he always did the things that he wanted to do when he had the opportunity. He took the opportunity. He used the white towels. He, burnt the candle, just all of the
Yeah,
things that was always how he was and how he lived, and that example coming out of Scientology was so much a part of my healing and opening up my eyes to what life could be and not caring, like being just so much more into enjoying the moment and even like listening to music or seeing bands play.
yeah.
Just his whole approach to all of it was just so he wanted to feel it and experience it, and he did fully whatever he could have been eating an ice cream cone, and it just he
That's so
just
cool.
enjoyed it so deeply. Yeah, that he kinda helped me see that life can be that way. It's not about what you have or even where you are, but if you can find in those moments, it's always been like the little things, and I think those are the things that I appreciate, and even now, it's somebody reminded me in the chat about how I couldn't get this drawer open, when I talk about, like, him still being around, and there was a hammer, and it's like I could almost hear him, like, use the hammer, and we had this conversation
Yeah,
in my head of I'm like, "Well, what am I gonna bust it open and break it, and then what?" And it was like, "No, try this." I took the hammer over, and I am not a fix-it person, I am not very handy, but I got the drawer open, and I felt so, like, it's such a little thing, but, I'm gonna be able to do it. I got the drawer
yes.
open. It was like this complete physical manifestation in that moment of the overwhelm that I was feeling and thinking, "I'm never gonna be able to do this."
Absolutely.
And I
I
was able
know
to
that
do it.
feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I think you know
Yes,
exactly, and
I
that's
know that feeling. But it's so cool, Nat, because I don't know, I don't wanna tell you, like, I hated when Fred died and people were like, "Well, he's here and he's waiting for you," and I'm like, "Really? You never even called him in life and you're telling me where he is now? Like, you can locate him? Come on. You never you never cared when he was here. Now you're gonna tell me his exact location and what he's doing?" But I wanna say, like, that probably is him. That's how I feel. I still hear Fred and I'm like, "That wasn't me." Like, I hear his voice and I'm like, I love that it just and if I dream about him, which isn't very often, I'm like, "You visited me." Like,
Yeah,
he's still here, it's just not physically. I don't know where they are, but I mean, as much as you 2 loved each other, that doesn't I'm sorry, but it doesn't just stop, that doesn't go away for him
yeah,
either.
yeah,
He's just
yeah,
not in a body. I hate to sound like a Scientologist, but he's just not physically here.
yeah.
I don't know where he is, but
Well, that was
he's
very
gotta be
apparent to
around.
me. When I went back in the room, when it was time to leave the hospital and his body was there and, I said goodbye again and I could feel him and he was, getting cold already and it just he wasn't there. I just
Yeah.
looked and I was like, "Wow," like, I don't all that I felt for him, I didn't feel. Like, I felt it still, but not like I was like, "Wow, that's not Tony."
Nope.
Like
I know exactly what you mean. His
yeah,
body got cold for me too, and I was like, "He's gone." Like, he's not in that body anymore. I could tell.
yeah,
If that's what you're saying, that's how I
yeah.
felt. I
No,
remember thinking
exactly.
like, "Oh my god, there's such a difference." It's like you could feel the shift of
Yeah.
we're not there anymore.
Yeah, you can feel the energy, the way that it
Yes,
changes and the way that it
yes,
feels like, I say he's like everywhere and nowhere, you know?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
He's just able to do it better now. That's how I think about it. I'm like, Fred was really old and couldn't, go from place to place real fast. And Tony was, not well.
Yeah.
And so I try to flip it to something positive. And I'm like, now they can be what you just said
Yeah.
all over. They can be everywhere and they can
Yeah.
help us. And I totally believe that man, as much as you loved him and he loved you, he ain't going nowhere. Like he's just not. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to be anywhere else. He didn't want to leave in the first place. So he's still there.
Yep, totally. Although I could see him taking off to Europe for a while or doing something like that. I don't know how it works
Yeah.
in that world. If it's just you think it and you're there, then you can quickly come back.
And maybe, but even if they could do that, he probably can be in more than one place at once. So maybe
Mhm.
he's able to check out Europe. And even if he does, there's doesn't probably take long to get back.
Yeah. Not like they gotta wait for a flight.
TSA's checking through stuff,
Yeah.
no, nope. I try to have a little humor about it because
Yeah, me too.
it's better than the alternative, as we know.
Mhm.
And I also I just feel it. I can't explain it. I just know,
Yeah.
he's not far away from me. Even after all these years since he's passed, it's like I just know he doesn't want to leave me.
Yeah.
Didn't want to.
Yep, I totally get that. What do you think or what would you like to see happen, like in the next 5 years? Like where do you see things? I mean, you've got your channel's great. I know you're only gonna continue to grow it. I think there's so much of your story and your experience still that has that's gonna come out. It's interesting how you do it because your channel over on Relatable Reese, it's very much you're very connected with your chat, and these are your friends, and you talk, and you know what's happening in their lives, and it's very interactive that way, and there's obviously a need there because you've grown your channel, you've done a good job, you've built
Thank
this
you.
community that you have, and it will continue to grow. I think it'll continue to grow as you continue to grow.
Yeah,
It's just so
you
fast.
say that, but I mean, it's kind of slowed down quite a bit. I don't usually increase in subscribers. Now I still get a lot of views. People
Now
still
that's
view
the
if
only
they
one
don't
you gotta pay attention to is views and
the view.
watch hours,
Yeah.
really.
I 5 years, I hope it grows. I always say it's quality definitely over quantity. So I mean, if I always tell people, I'm like, subscribe only if you want to. If you can't
Yeah,
stand me and I don't really want that either. So whatever is organic for people, I want them to come and subscribe. I really love just being together as a group. That's why I don't go live if I don't feel it.
yeah,
I only do it if I feel like I should. And I love I usually go on with no topic, and I'm there to see the chat. I'm there to talk with people. So I hope it does continue to grow and increase, but it's more about the friendships I've made because I didn't have any in Scientology. I just
yeah,
didn't. And learning what real friendship means, the unconditional part was really missing from my life. So I've gained that so much on YouTube, which may sound crazy, but I've flown to a lot of different cities and met a lot of these people and
yeah,
hugged
that's
them.
right.
And
You went to Seattle.
yeah, and let's see, Clearwater, Tucson, Phoenix.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it means the world to me. If I had the money, I would travel a lot more just to hug these people in real life because to me, it's not parasocial. A lot of these people I know more privately, and some people have shared their very private stories with me.
yeah,
And so it's not just for, I'm sure you get this too. I get a few people that are like, oh, she's doing this for the money. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just rolling in it. I mean, that's not what this is. And it never will be that. It's truly because it fills my heart. I
mhm,
was missing a lot of that. And I didn't know that until I started a YouTube channel and it just started to fill me. And I was like, wow, I love these people. These are true, real people, the people we were told to fear and be afraid of, you know?
mhm, or look down on.
Definitely, or judge. Yeah.
They're so much more compassionate than, anybody anytime in Scientology. It's so ironic when you think about it.
I mean, think about it for a minute. These people helped me to get where I am physically, helped me
Mhm,
to escape the situation I was in, and that could be with their private story they shared, that could be with a Venmo, a PayPal, a super chat, that could have been with my Amazon wish list, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. it's just nobody would have done that in Scientology is what
Yeah.
matters.
No, they would not.
Nobody would have helped you.
There's some
Not even
really,
family.
yeah,
I called
that's true.
my dad and said, I am on drugs. I am smoking meth. I need help. And he said, I won't give you a dime. He said, you're a degraded, disgusting being, and I won't help you.
And how old were you?
People, I was 17.
Mhm.
People on YouTube help me, and a lot of them can even be anonymous. They come across as like a stranger, and they're like, I don't know you, but I want to help you. That's
Yeah.
incredible. I've never seen that before in my life.
Me neither. The compassion, the thoughtfulness, just the time that people, I always say, I wish I could just respond to everything because so much of it is so appreciative, and the emails and just the cards, just so many things. It just shows how great people can be. And I think it's important that we all remember that you look at all that positivity, and sometimes there's a vocal minority where
Yeah.
that's not part of that is trying to do something else. And I'm sure you've experienced at times on your channel.
Mhm.
And there's always going to be that to some degree, because if you get any
Yeah.
group of people together, there's always going to be a percentage of them who just don't vibe that way. And that's the beauty of YouTube, is people have a choice to keep watching, to tune in, to subscribe, to interact, or not, because you don't have to at the end of the day. There's a great comment here. Kraken Studio, thank you for being a member for a month, says, Reese, please know you lived in survival mode your entire life. Give yourself grace for how you handled it all. We love you for rescuing yourself. I think
Wow.
that's
Thank
super
you.
accurate.
And I don't recognize that person's name. So thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Kraken Studio, the real booty.
that. I love it. That's what I'm like. I know my people. I always feel that way as a teacher on my channel. I'm like, I know my class. That person's not in my class. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I always recognize a new name. I'm like, I'm a new person. Welcome.
Yeah.
So
And
thank you for saying that.
yeah, and Casey Cat, thank you for the super chat, says, Reese, it makes me sad not to have known how bad it was for you when you were here. Girl, I would have had your back, and I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. I love her. She lives in Kansas City, of course. Guys, nobody knew, and no one should ever feel bad about that. Oh, Kraken, I wondered if you were a lurker. Okay. She said I lurk, Reese. Thank you for saying that, Casey Cat, but please don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to feel that way.
Baby Steps 22, thanks for the super chat, says, Reese, you shouldn't feel bad for doing what you had to do to keep you and Huck safe and get out. Trauma survivors learn what to do to survive. You are strong, smart, and very kind. So glad you got out.
I love Baby Steps. Thank you, babe. Thank you for saying that.
And it does.
See what I mean, Natalie? These people are amazing. Like, how are you not addicted to it? That's why I do want my channel to grow, only with more people like this. I know there's more. They've got to be out there. And so I do want it to grow and be successful there. But I mean, the people we have are just unbelievable. I love these people so much.
Absolutely. Amy Edge says, Reese, you are so smart. Natalie, you and Reese have both been through so much, and you both are great role models for pulling from your inner strength.
I love that.
I think sometimes we're both more of a cautionary tale. What's that saying, right? If you can't be a good example, at least be one hell of a cautionary tale.
That's right. That's right.
But I do realize too, that whole, getting through and surviving Scientology and coming out of a cult that we grew up in, it just, there's some fortitude there. It's not, I feel very driven and motivated to expose Scientology for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest reasons that motivates me is for the people who didn't make it out. And I don't just mean the people who are still there, them, of course, because especially the ones who feel trapped. Do you remember that feeling of feeling like you're trapped, like you're stuck there and you're not going to be able to leave, and you just have to go along?
100%.
Yeah, you have to go along with this.
Yes,
and
your whole family's in, you can't go anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. But getting out and moving beyond that is a huge accomplishment. I think anyone who does that in life, because it's not about having, again, unicorns and rainbows all the time. But if you went through something, or you're dealing something that's difficult, but you are still holding your head up and you are getting through it, and you're going to get through it, that shows so much more fortitude, and then I feel like we can go on and live. One of the things that Tony made me promise all kinds of things, but one of them was to live my best life, to have an amazing life, to not, and I don't take for granted any day, And I felt that way after leaving Scientology when I finally felt like I had some control and some say. And it was still hard. It's still at times I do the activities of my own choosing, but sometimes I still feel that pressure. There's still like some of that residual where you're constantly having
Absolutely.
to produce. It's all about what you can produce and give to the group versus like who you are.
And let's focus on who you are and explore you as a person, what you like, what you don't like. There was none of that. And it's so funny you bring that up, and I'll just keep this short, but oh, I love you, Nancy Stitchin. I want to say Tommy's birthday was 2 days ago. And I said, "What do you want to do today? What do you want to do?" I'm like, "We can go anywhere. I don't know where we are. I don't know Tennessee, but we can figure it out. We'll get a map." And he said, "I just want to watch movies." Well, I never do that, nor does he. And even sitting there watching movies, it was so much fun, Natalie, but I was like, "Oh, I feel idle." Like I feel like it's a weird feeling. I don't sit around. I don't care about television. That's why people are like, "Do you watch so and so and so and so?" I'm like, "Guys, I don't watch YouTube all day because I feel like I need to be cleaning or producing." It's
Yeah.
a weird thing still, but I mean, production is the
It's the
basis of
basis of
morale.
morale. Yeah.
Got to keep that going strong.
Exactly. I still do. I do all the things, but I'll just put like an earbud in. But by nature, the majority of what I do is a recap of Scientology news. So it requires like a fair
Yes.
amount of content consumption.
Yeah.
And, people will send a lot of clips and I get a vibe for what people are chatting about, but it's a lot. And I'm so glad that I've been able to do this because I would be doing it anyways. I would be wanting to do this at this level. I love that I
Mhm.
can make a living at it and expose Scientology. It's like it's this dream job in ways. There's parts of it that are difficult, like anything I think
Mm,
worth doing. Sometimes there's challenges, but
absolutely.
it means so much to me and to my family because behind me I have my children, my sister, who
Mhm.
all were also in Scientology. And now to have a platform to be able to expose that where they can share as well their experiences and they have, I think it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It is amazing. It really is. I love doing what we do. I hope to continue. I get nervous about the financial side of it. I always freak out about money anyway. And now that I'm single, I'm like, ugh. But I always say that I hope to like maybe get some sponsorships or, just something, maybe a collab with somebody like a local store, like I did in Kansas City. I really hope to make this stay afloat
Yeah.
because it's what I love doing.
Yeah.
I found something I really love. So yeah, I'm there with you. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I feel
You-
privileged to do what I do.
Yeah. I think you'll totally do it. Lisa says, thank you, Lisa. So glad to see two of my favorite creators together. You ladies are a true inspiration. Sending love and big hugs.
I love that, Lisa.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Nancy, thank you so much for that super chat. You ladies are absolutely remarkable. What an honor to be able to hear and support your stories. Your strength and grace through life's event is such an example for all of us. And I think that I feel that way often about them, about the people who are
Yes.
watching. When you read the emails and the comments and the way they can relate. And I have been so blown away from day one how people never in Scientology can see it so much more clearly. They may not
Yeah.
understand it. Like we have the understanding of the inner workings and what happens, but they're able to look at it and go like, what in the world? Like it really has helped me go, oh, that was weird. Like you don't think that almost your threshold for not just abuse, right? Or just being uncomfortable because when you've had to live through things that are so incredibly uncomfortable, you just get better at it. That something that other things just don't seem as difficult. I think even going through loss, when you've gone through the losses that, I have and that you have, it changes you even more. And I felt that way when I left Scientology. It's like going through that and surviving, this cult tried to take my daughter from me then as an adult, tried to get her to move out, all this stuff, what I had to do to protect her, what I had to do to get her back. All of these things I look at and I'm like, I did that, and then I was harassed by Scientology and I got through that. And to get to the point where Finally, I realized like they have no power over me, and they actually never did. I had to agree to that. We believed
That's
it.
true.
Yeah, but they
That's a
really
good
don't.
point.
Mhm.
That's
And I
a
think you
really good
realize that
point.
too.
And I think we eventually things started to change. Like for me, I was like, I believed it. Again, I was born into it. But after I became more and more of an adult, I was like, I was questioning things, but you have to do it silently, and you have the fear of what's to come if you do question it, which is losing everybody, losing your family, losing your kids, your husband, your wife, whatever. But yeah, you do start to kind of the blinders, I feel like kind of start to come off. There's some red flags for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. R Harmon 21, thank you for the super chat. Two of my favorite ladies on YouTube. Hugs,
Love you,
lovely
Rachel.
ladies.
Thank you,
Appreciate
babe.
that. That is super kind. Alana, I think it's Alana.
It
So
is.
happy to see you two together, sharing your lives and joy and grief. I always thought you two would click. Love to you both.
I love her. Thank you, Alana.
Hockeytown John, this is one of your regulars. I always see him, hear his
He's my
name in the
mod.
chat. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, love him.
I know you two already have a lot going on, but I would gladly add the Nat and Reese show to my daily watch schedule.
And mod schedule. Don't be thinking you're gonna be idle. We'll write an idle report,
That's
John.
right. You need to
You
be
have to mod.
producing. Joanne, thank you so much for the super chat. That's very kind.
I love Joanne.
And Virginia, thank you for gifting one Scientology Life After Cult membership. Hip hip hooray. Jim Mom of 3. Natalie, I'm crying with you. I lost my 19-year-old son in January. Be patient with yourself, breathe, and just do the next thing. Praying for you. Jim Mom of 3, thank you. And we
So
just
sorry.
speechless and sorry for your loss. Truly, to lose a child, I just can't.
I can't either.
I can't even entertain the idea. That's
I'm
just,
sorry, Jim Mom.
yeah. But to hear you say that though, just like even, she lost her son in January, and to know already that it takes being patient
Yeah.
with
The
yourself
wisdom. Yeah.
and to breathe, because I used to think, why do people say, make sure, breathe? I'm like, because I would literally stop breathing.
Because it's sometimes hard. I always think of it as like the
Mhm.
water is rising and you're kind of going like it's a
Yes.
panic thing. It's an anxiety. I say I'm taking laps around the anxiety pool.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
I mean, sometimes that's what it feels like.
It is. Hey, by the way, how are I know you started trying the gummies to sleep. Speaking of anxiety.
Speaking of panic attacks.
Speaking of panic attacks, I mean, I find it helpful. I once was in a situation out in here in Minnesota, and I was at a public event, and something had happened, and I could just feel the panic attack coming on. And I don't get a lot of them, but when I have, I should say, because there's really haven't been a ton of them, but I recognize the feeling right away. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what do I have in my purse?" Right? It's like for a while I carried around an anti-anxiety med after I got into a car accident because it helped. It helped when I took it, but then eventually I didn't need it. But if I had it in my purse, I was like, "Okay, I can get in the car and, we can do this." And I had stopped carrying it around because I was like, "Dang it. Here I am out in public." All I had were like gummies in my purse. And so 2 5 milligram gummies, and I was right as rain. And
Really?
yeah, just
I
pump
can't
it
do it.
out.
So I tried one and I take something my doctor told me to get. And I buy it at Whole Foods called GABA. It's GABA and it just
Oh,
helps me to
yeah.
sleep at night.
Yeah.
Gummies, I took one like 6 weeks ago or something and I didn't think I had eyeballs anymore. Like I was like I can't. I was like I can't open my I mean it was bad. I was like I don't have a face. I was saying I was a ghost. Like it was bad. I had no feeling. I couldn't feel my spleen. It was concerning on a lot of levels. So I stay away from the gummies. They seem to have a bad effect on me. However, the GABA
Yeah.
drifts me off to sleep and I still feel like me and I can feel my face.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's
It's
really
important to feel your face as you go to sleep, Natalie. To know that you have one, that old
But
chestnut.
sometimes the fun is figuring out, do I have a face?
Oh, I was questioning it. I was like, I don't have any eyes and I don't know where my face is. Has anybody seen my face? It was bad. Yeah, it was real bad. But I also took 15 milligrams and I
Mm.
didn't know. I thought that was just normal. And I think,
Yeah, for a
I think,
first time, that's a lot.
I think you want to start go a little less, you know, just
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
smaller
Like start
amount.
off at
Yeah.
like 5.
It was a lot. Yeah, I had no legs. I was unable to walk. It was real interesting to be a ghost for a couple of hours. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go back. I take that GABA, and honestly, my doctor was like, "You can take it to sleep, but it's not for sleeping. It's for panic. Like, it's to relax you." And
Yeah.
it does, and I just drift off again, knowing I have an eyes and nose and mouth, and that's more calming to me. It's hard to sleep actually not knowing whether or not you have a face.
Will I breathe? Am I breathing?
Has anybody seen my lungs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was frightening. It was frightening. Yeah.
Debbie with an I, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Says 2 of my favorite she rose. Oh, I love that. She rose.
I love that too.
You both are so strong. Your strength helps me to be strong. Bless you both. And I again would say, I think so much of this is what we get, right? It's an interesting thing. I never expected that. I knew that I would come on YouTube and share my story and be able to expose Scientology. What I didn't know was what was going to happen was just the level of feeling like, like they got you, like I got you. That kind of a
Yes.
thing, that there's
The
so many people
safety
there.
net.
Exactly. That
The
is the
safety.
safety net.
Yeah, people will say like, "Reese, you have an army behind you." And now I really feel it. And I'm like, this is so addictive, having friends, having family, because I lost everybody. And so now it's like I've gained so much more, and I just never want to lose it. I get scared that like people are going to unsubscribe and just leave or get bored or
Mhm.
whatever it is. I get these weird emotions about it. And I'm like, please don't leave me, because this is everything to me. I don't think I would be emotionally as stable
Yeah.
if I didn't have this channel.
No, I get that. I think that in time you'll learn too. It's kind of like training wheels, right? You've got these training wheels, which I think is like your chat and your community has been. And now you're able, like you're getting to where those training wheels can come off, but it doesn't mean they go away. They're just going to be
Yes.
over here, but you
Yeah.
have the ability to ride that bike by yourself. But the training wheels are still there. They're still part of your life, but you actually can do this without your channel. You could do this. It might be hard to believe now, but I know from just what
Natalie, that is so wise.
I'm totally
I'm
getting old
serious.
helps. But I think that's more like
This is why I
that.
like old men.
Yeah.
They're full of wisdom.
I get it
No,
now.
seriously though, that is really wise. You're right. You could do this without,
Yeah.
but it just feels so good to do it with, because I just have so many friends.
Yeah.
I just have so many people. I'm never lonely. Like I have
Mhm.
so many people I can text or email or turn to, and it just feels so good
Yeah, that's
for
not
someone to
gonna
be like, "Hey,
change.
let's go to lunch."
Yeah.
Like it's like, wow, I never could do that before.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's interdependent too, like, depending upon even, like, your channel and even thinking about, like, subscriber numbers, they go up, they go down, there are seasons. But it's you have your core group there, and I think that that is going to grow because of what we're talking about. It's a two-way street. There's something that viewers get out of it. There's a connection there, but there's something that we get out of it too by having this support and being able to openly speak about. I know for me, being able to freely talk about Scientology is like the best thing in the world for me
Yes.
because we were never allowed to do it.
Yes. You weren't allowed to. You weren't allowed to have any kind of a thought of your own about it.
Mm-mm.
That's what I find so what is it? What would the word be? Is it hypocritical or an oxymoron? I don't know what the word would be, but like in Scientology, it's all they tell us we're thinking for ourselves. If it's not true for you, then it's not true. You should have your own integrity about it. That's such a lie. It's and then if you go and you become a Scientologist all day long, for me, growing up, being in the church, everywhere I'd go, they'd go, well, what would LRH say about it? What does LRH say? Well, look up in the tech balls and see what LRH says.
Yeah.
Try to find what LRH says. Well, so you're not thinking for yourself. We're following what LRH does and says and tells us what to do.
Yep, that's so true.
It's such a trap.
Yep. LRH can go pound sand.
Yeah, but it's such a trap because a new person, they're going to reel you in by going, you get to learn to think for yourself for once. And it's not. It's all what LRH says. And there's creepy ass pictures of him all over the place that we have to.
Oh, don't forget about the bust. The bust of LRH.
The big creepy, the iron thing. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. So it's quite, I don't know what the word would be. Is it hypocritical? I don't know. Is that the right word? Sometimes I have a hard time with words.
Yeah, we all do. I think you're right. It's figuring it out as you go. We're just
Yeah.
figuring it out as we go. It's kind of like it happens being especially doing live streams on YouTube. This is everything happens in real time. There's not a tape video that then gets edited and you have time to think about it and all of that.
Mm-mm.
I love doing it live because I will never I'm not going to edit a video, let's be real. It's just like I don't think that I
I don't
would
even know
do
how
it.
to do
And
that.
I just don't have the skill. I look at what like Kelly Copter does. Her content is amazing. How she puts it together. It's so skilled.
She is. She's amazing.
I'm like, I can't do that.
I can't do that. And guys, before we started this, she said, as respectful as anybody would do, and I do this when I bring people on my channel, is what's off limits? What do you want to talk about? Is there anything I want to keep your boundaries? I want to respect that. And I said to her, I really do best not having a script. I really do best hitting go and going without a net. I don't, if I have to think about it and go, oh, well, okay, so what's the script we're going to read? It's like, then I'm not natural. I would rather just hit me with it and I said that to you. I said, if you say something I'm not comfortable answering, I'll just say, I don't think I want to get into that right now.
Yeah, yeah, which is a good thing because as I think we're all learning that, it's okay to have boundaries, even if the other
Yeah.
person doesn't like
Even if we're
it.
live, but even if it's live, I can
Yeah.
handle it. I'm not worried about it. Neither we both support and love each other. So I'm not going into a dangerous situation. So it's like, hit me with it.
Yeah, that's right.
I would
That's why I
rather do
wanted to
that.
come clean at the beginning too, even before we talked. I'm like, okay, or
Yeah.
before we got on live, I'm like, full disclosure.
I liked you and then I didn't.
I was not about all this,
I roller coastered with you a bit. I
Yeah,
roller coastered.
exactly. I did. I completely did. But that just, I think, speaks to, I think, what a lot of people go through in watching and having this connection. Monica says, thank you, Monica. You are two strong, amazing women.
I love
That is
Monica.
super sweet. Tracy says, I'm one of Reese's people, but I'm also a Natalie supporter now too. Thank you so much. You both are laughs, you both are laughs, cries, but an inspiration above all.
I love that. And guys, that's really kind. I was thinking that too. I bet a bunch of people will come over and subscribe.
Yeah.
I don't ever get new subscribers really, but if you want to,
Reese. Yep. I'll
you can
get
come
that
over.
up too.
You're welcome to come over and see me once or twice too. I probably will make you unsubscribe, but try it.
Yeah. Donna. Hey, Donna. Thanks for being a member for a month. Donna says, Natalie, you know how much I love you. You're in my thoughts and prayers. And Reese, you don't realize how beautiful you are inside and out.
Aww,
Love this chat.
Donna, that's so nice. Thank you. That never gets old. That's really kind. Yep. Thank you.
Tony Shooter. Or you are Tony?
It's Tony's Hooter. Tony actually.
Hooter.
Yeah. Tony's Hooter. Yeah. It's her part of her name. I know. I clarified.
Yeah. Tony's Hooter, but seeing it. Thank you for that. Love you too. Reese has been my girl since the beginning.
I love you, Tony. Thank you.
These are all your people too. Joe Virus, love you both. We are survivors, and the ones we've lost are never really gone.
I love that, Joe. Yes, that's how I feel.
I totally think that makes so much sense. Dale, thank you for the super chat. Says, you should have seen how rude they were to my son watching a game yesterday at Big Blue. They kicked us out of Aja's live.
Wow.
Of Scientology. Oh, Dale, I think I shared that clip this morning. There was a man with his son who got kicked out of right off of L. Ron Hubbard Way. Lavender Bridges, thank you so much for that. Love you both. That's so sweet. Nice. Analytical Blarney, you both are the strongest women in these YouTube streets. Thank you both for sharing your stories with us. Thank you for being such great examples.
I love that.
That's super sweet, and it amazes me because I feel like, a hot mess in a dress.
And I was the dumpster fire. So it is kind of weird when people say that still. They're like, Reese, you're so strong. I'm like, who? Who are you talking about? Exactly. I don't feel that way, but I definitely don't want to reject that either. It's kind. It's very nice. No,
definitely. Definitely. And to me, it's kind of like, hey, everybody, if we can do it, you can do it. That's the thing I think that inspires me. And, when seeing people go through their struggles and their difficulties is that it's doable. It doesn't mean it's easy.
Yes.
And you got to put in the work, but it's doable. I keep telling myself that every day. This is doable. This is doable. And sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm going to do this for today.
That's so helpful. It is. I mean, and think how many people that will help. I love that too. You know, when I do a stream, sometimes I'll end and I'm like, oh, that was dumb. I didn't even make a point today. Like that was, but then I think about people will reach out after and go, you really made me think about this. And I think, you know what? There's something for everyone. It touches somebody somehow every time.
Yeah,
And that's what matters.
absolutely. Audrey says sending hugs and kisses. That's so sweet. Thank you,
Oh, love you, Audrey. She pronounces it
Audrey.
Audrey because
Audrey.
she lives in
Audrey.
Paris. Yeah. And
Audrey.
she's a sassy Parisian.
Ooh-wee. I
Yeah,
like
she really
that.
is. I love that. Yeah.
John Shamwowski says, got here late. You both have stuff coming in the mail. Oh,
Thank
nice.
you, John. He always sends me chocolate because he knows I'm a chub.
Ooh, I love the chocolate.
Same.
Gina Marie Torino, thank you. She says, don't ever go away, you two friends. Greetings to the, maybe she was going to say chat.
Yeah, probably. Thank you,
Starts with
Gina
a C.
Marie.
I'm going to go with that.
That's so nice.
That is super sweet. And Abigail says, Reese is a great friend, and I consider it a privilege to know her and see her continue to grow and flourish. Reese, thank you for being authentic, kind, compassionate, and more. Be blessed, both of you.
Oh, I love Abigail. She's been around forever. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you again for the gifts you send. She's so nice.
It's awesome. Shelly Kelly says, this is an amazing live. Love to you both. And thank you for being a member for 4 months.
Love her. I met her in Phoenix. She's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Data Chick ATL. Thank you so much for that.
Love the cats.
Catherine B says, I'm a death doula, and there's a poem called Epitaph. Is that how you say that? By Merritt Malloy that makes me think of Fred, Tony, and what you both are doing with your channels and lives. Look for part 2. Oh, okay. Part 2.
Oh, there it is.
Wait. No, wait. This must be here's part 2. Here we go. When all that's left of me is love, give me away. You've both given us the opportunity to know and love them too. And it's a blessing to see their love and strength propel each of you forward.
That is amazing.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to check out that poem.
That's amazing. Hey, Jimena.
Jimena says, I comment less in Natalie's channel than Reese's, but I love you both. You are 2 of the strongest women I've seen.
I love you, Jimena. Thank you for saying that. I love her. She's amazing.
Sweet. Lisa Marie says, LRH effed off into the forever for reals. I love you both.
He really did. He never came back. We were told he would, but he didn't.
Yeah, maybe he's at Target too. We're still waiting to hear.
Yeah.
When you were
announce that.
So being that, because I'm older than you, I was 15 actually, because it was in January of 1986 when L. Ron Hubbard discarded the body like yesterday's trash. Yes. So how old were you then?
2.
Wow.
And it's in my baby book. My dad wrote all about it, how he dropped the body. And it's weird, in my book, he wrote he made it to OT 10. And I was like, well, you got some misinformation there, Gene. It's 15. Get it right. Right? Everybody told me he made it to OT 15. How did he write that up to the bridge? You telling me he didn't take his own path?
Yeah, the lie was that the propaganda was that he finished his research. He did OT 9 and 10. And for him to do further research on the operating thetan levels, he would have to discard his body.
So he didn't actually do it in the body?
No.
Wait, he wrote the levels though? How do you write it and not walk
it? They were saying that he researched and did OT 9 and 10, which were going to be released when all Scientology organizations reach the size of Old St. Hill. So St. Hill, the organization in England, had like 300 staff and all these statistics where they were this big booming org. And so the game before this whole ideal organization, L. Ron Hubbard said, make orgs as big as this other one. And when they're all that size, we'll release OT 9 and 10. But the truth is, people who've turned whistleblower have come out from Scientology management and admitted there is no OT 9 and 10.
That opens you up for some questioning. And it's really unfair that he decided to discard the body before we could ask those questions. Yeah. Feels like a bit of a trap. A little smoke and mirrors there now.
Exactly, it does.
It's not right.
Data Chick forgot to write the anything before. I was so looking forward to the 2 of you together for a long time. You're both so special. Appreciate that.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Vanessa, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Says, love you both. Thanks for making me feel better about my own dumpster fire.
That's what we're here for, Vanessa.
Exactly. That should almost be, we should regularly get together and just talk dumpster fire. Tell me
Just
about
set
your
it on
dumpster
fire.
fire.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not a bad idea, honestly, because I have a few.
I like it. Nana of 12,
Mhm.
thank you so much for that. Miss Sunrise Dawn, thank you. Love you both so much. If it's okay with Natalie, can we please get a damn? Of course.
I don't know where he is.
If he pops in, Brittany, I needed this today. You two are hope in human form. Oh, that's really sweet, Brittany. Thank you.
Here he comes, real quick, everybody. Everybody wants you to say, "Damn."
Damn.
Did you hear it though? I have my mic.
I heard it.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, you want to do it again?
Oh no, did they hear it?
They heard it.
Okay, good.
Okay. Thanks. All right, you got it.
Aria says, this is an amazing live. Love to both of you.
I love Aria, and I'm so glad that Lyric is home. She had a little boy that's been in the NICU forever,
Ooh.
at 53 days, I believe, and he went home on 4th of July yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah. Yeah,
awesome.
really exciting. We were all really excited for her.
That's so great. Anna Witt has a comment. Reese has inspired thousands of women trapped in the money trap. I am one who watched since the start, and she has been a lifeline. That's
Thank
true
you. I
too.
love her. Thank you,
That
Anna Witt.
continuing to fill in the blanks and share more about, I think, your experience with, which I'm sure will just continue to unfold, right? I think she makes such a good point. There's so many women who were trapped that way. I mean, it was similar
Yes.
when I left my husband, not like your situation, but I
Not the
mean,
same, but
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, my divorce took 3 years, and it wasn't because things were going so well, but we got
right.
through it, and now we're both in a much better place, and we're both much better people too together, and I love having them in, as part of my family.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah,
I really do.
takes a good
But,
amount of work.
Anna makes a good point. I'll just say I don't want people to think I'm talking about all this to like stir up drama or throw people under the bus. I'm talking about it for those women too who feel trapped, who went through things that we've felt, or if you feel fear. I talk about it for those reasons too, because it does give people hope to make a plan. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
For
your
sure.
plan, like, you had to come up with a plan to leave and get out of there safely. It's
Yeah.
like, I had a 2-year plan. It took me 2 years to execute my plan to leave Scientology with my family.
Yes, it
It's
can be done, and that's why we're
expensive
here,
work.
guys. We're here to talk about it and hopefully inspire people to go, "I'm gonna change this," I
Yeah,
live in a state of fear. I don't wanna do that anymore.
yeah. Force of Delightful Nature says, "Some stories can only be shared slowly. Some stories need to be told many times." I would agree
I
with
would agree
that.
with that, yeah.
Let's see. Freeha the dog. Did Jeff know about you and Tommy when he lived in your basement? Or did you guys wait until you moved out? Did Jeff
You mean wait as far as answering the bone phone? What do you mean?
maybe.
Getting
Well,
down?
let's go with that. Did Jeff know
Yeah,
about you?
probably. I don't know if Jeff knew. We never talked about it, but after I got divorced, we did get down, and it weirdly did happen
In the
uh,
basement.
in the basement. But I'll tell you, it was a great time, whether Jeff knew or not. I highly recommend people who have done time. They seem to be quite good at knowing their way around. Yes, I don't know if he knew. I don't know. I'm sure he'll respond to us and tell us at some point under a
Well,
different
now that
name.
because you've talked about it, you've talked about the relationship now, you both are, out there doing your thing, and so now he definitely knows,
Yeah, I don't
right?
think he cares because of.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Jeff was in the situation he was in the whole time we were married, going to the parties he was attending, and those things were going on. So it was hard for me to, once I was divorced, move on with a relationship with someone else because he was disrespecting our marriage all the time. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad about it. I was divorced anyway, and I thought, I don't feel bad about this.
Well, definitely, especially while he's over there going to sex parties.
That kind of makes it easier for me to justify it. For sure. Yeah, especially with I mean I know who the girls are, and that makes it harder too. So, yeah, it wasn't a big deal to me once I was divorced to feel good about moving forward with someone who actually cares about me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that was quite satisfying.
It was. Yeah.
Let's see. You know what? I'm not sure if I read this one. Matt's mom forever. Two of my favorite SPs. I admire you both so much. Your intelligence, wisdom, and your strength to endure. Thank you for letting us in on your journey. Love
Thank you.
that.
That's nice. I love her.
Anne says, the most dangerous thing on the planet is a woman who no longer cared what you think about them. It is liberating and awesome. I was so excited to just be in charge of me.
Yes, she makes a good point. It does feel good to just move on from something and not care anymore, not carry the baggage with you or worry about it or let it take up space in your head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Completely. In fact, Anne also says, my inner hot mess acknowledges your inner hot mess. Write that book, Reese and Natalie.
Yeah, she's right. That's what I love is we have so much in common. All of us do. We're so
My
connected in
inner
some
hot
way. I
mess
love
sees your
that.
inner hot mess. I love that because that's basically namaste, right? Is, what is it? Like, I see the light in you or something like that. Like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Your inner hot mess. I absolutely love that. Brittany says, I needed this today. You two are hope in human form.
I love her. Hey,
Did
Liz Gale. I just saw Liz Gale. I'm
Oh,
glad you were here,
hey.
Liz.
Hey, Liz. Gypsy Soul says, two super women.
That's so
Love
nice. I
that.
love Gypsy Soul.
CC Shelby says, just wanted to send a super chat to say that I think the world of you both. That's
Thank you,
super sweet.
Cece. That's so kind.
Superstorm Day says, love you both. That's
Thank
very
you.
sweet. I think that sometimes I wonder how much, and you can, I guess, tell us because you're all here in the chat, really know the impact that they have on us. I've talked about it a lot and so many times, just experience that level of acceptance. And even when you feel like a dumpster fire, you just feel like, I'm going to share this story and this is just such a dumpster fire, but they can identify or relate to that in some way because trauma is trauma. And a lot of the things that we've experienced in leaving Scientology, those after effects, they've experienced through their own trauma. And it's
Totally.
such a good way, I feel like, to learn about all of it. Deanna,
Absolutely. It
thank you so
is. That's
much
why
for
we're
your
just, I
magic.
feel like everybody just connects.
Yeah.
They get it. We get it. It's just really a cool thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Deanna Ross.
Oh, here, someone just said, Allison says, namaste. Namaste. The divine in me acknowledges the divine in you. That's right.
That's
I knew it
cool.
was
I
something
like that a
like
lot.
that, but I
I
like
like
the
that a
dumpster
lot.
fire. The dumpster fire in me acknowledges the dumpster fire in you.
Shines and brightens and leads the way. Not a bad way to do it. I mean, it's not the worst thing.
Now we can make that dumpster fire a bonfire.
Yeah.
Get out some marshmallows, chocolate, graham
Yeah.
crackers.
Burn that flame real bright.
Pour some gasoline on it. Christy says, I feel Netflix will be calling sooner than later for you both.
That would be cool. I want Anthony Hopkins to play Fred.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Otherwise, I
would
don't
be
care.
that would be a good one. It absolutely would. Don Glove says this has been therapeutic. The two of you should do this again on Relatable Reese. Absolutely.
That's nice, Dawn. Absolutely. We'll go back and forth.
Absolutely. Joanne says, on the days you feel fragile and broken, know your strength and courage is making you beautiful in ways you may not see now. Hang in there. Keep moving forward. Love you both.
I love
That's
that,
really
Joanne.
wise
I
too.
know. I just love these people. They have so much wisdom. Thank you, Joanne.
It's so
It's
good to
really
remember
nice.
that. And sometimes it's like somebody's saying it to you and then you're saying it to them. So
Yes.
another question I wanted to ask was,
Mhm.
what is it like to go from living in Kansas City to it looks like you live in the middle of nowhere?
Truly the middle of nowhere. I thought I would hate it, Natalie.
Yeah.
I have bloomed here. I love it here. I love going outside with no shirt on and talking to the cattle like a crazy person. No, I really do love it here. I think this is exactly what I needed. And again, I feel like that's a gift from Fred in some way. Like there's a piece I can't put a price on being out here. Now, I mean, I don't know. I haven't felt afraid or worried yet, but I've been told you're safer out in the country, honestly,
Yeah.
than you are in the city. But It's just, there's something to it. The people are so nice. It's slower paced. And I'll tell you, I have to drive about 25 minutes to get to like a Costco or a grocery store. And when I do go, now I've only been here, what, 2 weeks. And even now when I go, I'm like, oh, like there's all these people are breathing on me. There's traffic. Like, it's crazy. I don't hear sirens. There's no street lights here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm used to, but I really enjoy it.
So it has to be pitch black at night then.
It is. It is. But I wouldn't know. I don't like to go out there at night. I find there's, spiders, and I'm not afraid of someone breaking in and killing me. I'm afraid of walking into a spider web, honestly, is what's going to happen. But no, I've got a lot of lights and stuff set up, and I've got cameras now. And so, I mean, but I'm not afraid. I feel actually safe.
Yeah.
I feel safe. I'm away from where I was. I
Yeah.
never felt safe with Jeff. So as nice as my house was, and I was going to miss it, and that was my big thing, is I thought, I'm going to have to leave here. I'm going to have to support myself. That's scary, but it's not. It feels so good. It feels so good. Like, this is mine. This is a place that I'm renting, and I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to be a certain way. And so it's amazing, actually. I don't want to go back toward the city life. I like it here.
Yeah. What will happen then? Will Tommy go back to was it Phoenix?
Yeah, he lives in Tucson. So he's going to go back in about a week. And we haven't quite figured that out. Like, he'll probably go home and come back and alternate like 3-4 weeks at a time is what we might be thinking. But I respect that, because again, it's so different with him, because I'm like, go, you've got your family there, you've got your life there. Like, I don't worry about it. I know he'll be back, and there's just we're not like keeping tabs on each other or anything. It's just do what you need to do and be free to do what you want to do. I do hope to make enough money. Like, I've never had a real job where I could support myself in a way. I've always admired women who do it themselves. Like, they have kids, they buy a house. I mean, I did that, but it was a tiny house. Looking at the land out here, I'm like, I could see myself, if I could afford it, I'd love to build a home out here.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to, a little home, just something. And eventually that's kind of a goal for me, is to just stay in the country and do my YouTube streams and meet my people. And I just kind of like it. It sounds weird to say, but it's the simple life. I like it out here.
No,
it's just very peaceful.
I totally get it. I live in a suburb, but I'm a little ways out, and it feels more like you drive through a little bit of country to get to my house, even though I'm so close. And I like that. It's nothing like where you're living, but I found that there's just something about open grass and green and horses and
space.
Exactly. That just makes you kind of just exhale.
Yes.
And I can't imagine what the stars are like. You got to go
It's
out.
amazing.
You'll probably see.
I'm a little scared. Like I said, I almost walked into a spider web and it nearly killed me. I learned all kinds of Taekwondo immediately. I don't like insects. So that's the only part about it out here that I'm like, ugh. But no, I love it. I have cattle all around me, like really close. And I've seen some things. There's a beaver that walked through my backyard that kind of freaked me out. But
really?
Yeah, no, I mean, really, it's pretty cool. It's different, and I love it.
Gnome Sane wants to know, are there any cows that need milking?
Not yet. Nope. They are beef cattle, like Angus cows, but they're not dairy cows. But no, Natalie, it's weird. I mean, it is weird going from always living in the city to this. Yeah. And I thought I would hate it. My mother lives here and she's like, I can't believe you like it here. I thought you were going to hate this. And I love it. I just love it. I do.
No, I think that would be great, especially to be somewhere where you're just like you said, you have the freedom that if you want to walk outside naked, you can.
And I have.
Nobody out there. On camera. Now you got those cameras. Don't share your Ring account with anyone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, somebody may hack into that. Stay tuned, you guys. It may drop on the YouTube.
Kellyanne, thank you so much for that super chat. I love and admire your strength so much.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely don't go milking those cows. Well, I know that we're going to do this again. We'll go to your house next time.
Okay. Next time I'll have you over.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I really want to do this again. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And I don't do a lot of streams with people, and I probably should more. I should branch out. I've
Yes.
done stuff with Sterling. He's really fun to chat with, but he's
Yeah.
got a full-time job, so it's kind of hard. But I really enjoyed this. And I like talking with another female,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a
I
different
love
perspective.
Erin, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
And I do believe that we're going to try to put together a game night. I've never done a game night.
It's
And,
fun.
but I know he mentioned it, like doing it again with you and Sterling, like just kind of
Gotta
like,
have thick skin.
well, that I have.
Gotta get some thick skin. Yeah. The ones where you get voted is the worst. I remember doing the one where it's like voting and it said like who has the most annoying voice, and I won. And I was like, okay, all right. I thought people liked me. Never mind. I know I sound like a guy though. I've always hated my voice. It sounds like a man at Jiffy Lube, but it still hurt. It hurt that everybody voted for me.
At least you won.
I won.
I won.
Such
I'd
a way
get a
of looking at
plaque,
it.
voted worst voice.
Most annoying voice. Reese Quabell. Yeah, I would love to do a game night. Tell Erin that.
Well, he told me that.
Oh, all right. Then let's get on it.
Yeah, it was like today or yesterday. So I'm sure I know
Oh.
that we've chatted. I'm like, yeah, let's get that going. Doesn't have to be those same kind of games too. I don't like ones where somebody's put in a position where it's something like that. You know, like if you're gonna vote, like it should be for something a little bit more positive.
That's not his style. It's not his style. No, the other alternative though is like games, the trivia games. And when we did those, I would be the host and I would read the questions because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I-
We could
I
almost
thought,
at this point, I think we should start collecting questions for an SPTV trivia.
That would be
really see-
cool. Like Scientology trivia would be cool. That would be fun. That's something in my wheelhouse. But I thought Antarctica was a state. So I'm really not the best person to do trivia. I don't know a lot. I don't know anything geographically. It's not for me.
Well, that's why we have maps in Google. So we don't have to.
That's why we can
remember it.
cheat.
That's right. That's why we have the internet. So we don't need to remember as many things.
So true. And why is that important anyway? It's not. Oh my God, Deb S. I love Deb S. I met her in Seattle.
Yes. Thank you again so much. I love you too, lovely ladies. I've been busy getting my cute little 83-year-old mom married in the Kentucky.
Oh, that's cute.
Catching up on all I missed. Thanks, Reese, for missing me. I heard your call out. I wanted to drive south and give you a hug. Adore Natalie. That's so
Deb,
sweet.
she's so cute in person too. She's so teeny tiny. You could put her in the glove box. Deb, I love you. That's so cute. I love that her mom is 83 and getting married.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I need to see
Grandma.
pictures. That's adorable.
Yeah, my grandma got married when she was, I think, in maybe her 60s, maybe even her 70s.
So cute.
Yeah.
Women should do that more if it's something they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like some women get older and think you don't need to get married at this age, and it's like, no, it's adorable. If that's your path, that's amazing.
Yeah, though you like being married. I mean, being married is something that you really.
I always say, you only get a few weddings. You should definitely live it up. I intend to do it 6 or 7 times before I go out. I think it's great. Men, husbands, what is it? Have you seen the movie Clue? Husbands should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable.
Well, I've had 2 ex-husbands and a baby daddy.
There, see, you're getting there.
I'm getting
there.
Those
are pump those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta increase that.
Well, I have had such a great time. I think we could just go on and on and on, but we are hitting the 2-hour mark. And I know that we'll do this again, and we'll head over to your channel, and there's a game night on the horizon. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for playing today. And this has just been great. I look forward to our next chat. I know we're going to have many more. So you guys too, let us know what are some topics or things that you want to hear about, because again, you made a good point, Reese, too. It's a different perspective. I know when I've collaborated with different creators, it really does. It's so fun to do because different points of view, they see things differently. And when you get to share in that, I think it's just amazing. It's a real eye opener. And I want to thank you for answering, my questions as a fangirl.
Of course. As a friend. You're not a
As a
fangirl.
friend
You're my
now, as a
friend.
friend now, and letting
Yeah.
me, kind of really more understand more of what's going on. I appreciate your openness with all of that because you don't owe anybody an answer or an explanation for anything. And I appreciate that you shared that
Yeah.
here.
But I'm glad we cleared it up too. You may not owe people things, but when you leave mysteries like I was doing, I couldn't help it. But it's good to kind of tie up loose ends and go, oh, that makes more sense now. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we did that, honestly. That's
Yep.
important.
Me too. And let me grab, though, I feel like everybody who's here is already on top of your channel. I accidentally X'd out of my thing there. I'm just going to pull this up here. You guys
Oh,
already know that Relatable Reese is right over there. You can find her on Relatable Reese
thank you.
on her
And come on
channel.
over if you want. Just don't feel forced. Don't feel forced. Only subscribe if you want to. I always tell
Only
people that.
subscribe if you want to.
We're not in a cult. You don't have to do it.
Yep. You get to choose. It's okay to
Yes.
say no.
Guys, I'm serious. Thank you for having me. Natalie, this really was uplifting. I love having a chat with a friend like this.
I'm
It's
glad.
uplifting. It makes
I'm
you
so
feel
glad.
good. And I think we both could use that right now. Put a little bit of the dumpster fire out.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. Wait,
Yeah.
let me read this last super chat. What makes you both wonderful content creators is because of your mess and address and dumpster fires. It's relatable and it's stuff that makes us all feel like we connect with both of you.
Aw, that's nice though. It's true. And I love that. That's why I'm here too. So thank you. Thank you for having me. This was very special.
I agree. All right, everybody, you know the drill. Get out there and have an amazing cult-free day.